An adventurous couple finds love in a small town.
He was very outgoing, was able to make her laugh.
But charm and good looks can only last so long.
How am I supposed to get pregnant if you're not even here?
He was just kind of an absentee husband.
She say I'm not dishonest. I told you that I'm messing around.
And when love runs cold, the consequences are chilling.
This was a prolonged physical altercation.
Exit the vehicle now! Get out the car now!
Love may be blind and marriage bliss, but divorce is murder. Small-town Kansas is beautiful, clean, and friendly, but is also a little on the quiet side. Especially for 24-year-old April Brungart, who works at the local truck stop.
This truck stop wasn't very big. It was just one of those ones where you get a few snacks.
Ah, there you are, finally.
So I'd come over there and keep her company.
Page 25.
Oh, so hot.
Those eyes.
Most of the shop's customers are truck drivers on long hauls, and they can't resist April's charms.
That is good jerky. Enjoy.
You know, when you go into a store, she's like, hi, how are you? Very polite, very friendly. That wasn't just her being customer service at work. That's just how she was.
She was just very outgoing, caring, always made people laugh. She would give you the shirt off her back to make sure you were taken care of.
Brad comes walking in, and his eyes, when he looked at you, they just sparkled, you know, and so you couldn't help but sparkle back.
Hey, it's been a while. How are you doing?
I'm a world better now that I've laid eyes on you.
I bet you've used that line on every girl from here to Nashville.
Nah, they get the standard lines. This one's from the heart, freshly baked for you.
Oh, that is 100% a dad joke.
Guilty as charged.
Initially, he was interested in her because she was very beautiful.
There was a 15-year age difference between the two of them. He was there quite often, you know, he's a truck driver, and he went through quite a bit.
But there's a catch.
She was actually going out with another guy. And then it's like that got boring. It's like when you get a s'more and it doesn't have the chocolate in it. So you want to go get a piece of chocolate and stick it in there with the s'more. And that's kind of how April would be with men. It's like, this one doesn't quite have exactly the chocolate that I need. And so she had to go get something that was sweeter.
Brad is persuasive.
It's unkind for you to string him along.
At 39, he has his own history of broken romances and 3 kids from a previous marriage. But for Brad and April, that doesn't matter.
So it works like this. Breaker, breaker. It's a go for Gremlin. Any good buddies out there? Over.
Candy cane to gremlin. Over.
They were just really enjoyed their life. They'd be on the road. They traveled a lot. She got her CDL license, which means you can go ride and drive the semi-trucks, just so she could be with him 24/7.
Brad soon falls right into the family fold.
Bust.
Ooh, I won. Oh, why did you fold? You would have won.
Oh, I won already. I won you.
He was very outgoing, was able to make her laugh.
They were a good fit for each other.
You have me now. You don't have to struggle with this stuff. I'm a Marine. We get her done.
Well, I don't think you have to be a Marine to lift boxes, but if you want to, knock yourself out.
She moved in with him quite early. They was probably about 4 months into the relationship. I thought it's like, it's better to get to know somebody than just go and marry him like after you've known him for a week.
And then a surprise.
Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for coming.
So, what was so important it can't wait?
Well, go ahead, show her.
Do you like my new rock?
Gorgeous.
She's like, bling. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful. Wait a minute, what? And she's like, yeah, Ed asked me to marry him. And she was excited. And she's like, I just want to be like everybody else. Because my oldest sister was already married and had a couple kids. And I was married and had a kid. And it was her turn to be, married and have a kid.
With an engagement comes the Bachelorette party.
We went to strip club. And oh my God, it was hilarious. April, everybody had a good old time.
But something takes the night in an unexpected direction.
So, enjoy the men tonight and get ready for the ball and chain. Oh, hey, what's happening?
I'm only 24. I feel like I should go out and do things. He's already almost 40. He's done everything already. What if in 5 years from now, I regret this? Or I go crazy thinking about all the stuff that I missed?
There's only 2 questions to ask yourself. Is he kind? And do you love him?
He doesn't talk much. Sometimes I feel like I don't even know him.
He was very secretive, very secretive. And so I think that was something that April didn't really like.
Oh.
That's not the only reason.
She would tell me, she's like, we're okay, but the fun's already starting to wear down, and I really don't know if I really want to do this and everything, because it's like, am I ready for just one man?
Let's go back out there. Yeah, okay.
Psychotherapist Stacy Kaiser and forensic psychologist Brian Russell sense trouble ahead.
For starters, there's an age difference, which isn't always a problem. I think I'm more concerned about the fact that April was hesitant to marry him.
That's really not how you're supposed to feel when you walk down the aisle. You're supposed to be overwhelmed with how excited you are about your future and all the things you're gonna do. So when I hear somebody saying, yeah, I wasn't really sure, but I went ahead and walked down the aisle anyway, I'm nervous for how that marriage is gonna go.
I'm beginning to wonder how good their connection can be, or if this is going to be fulfilling for April.
Although April has her doubts, her cold feet still manage to walk down the aisle.
Guess it's time to start working on those kids right now.
If this truck's a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
It was at my grandpa's house in the backyard. We had decked it out, like they do for weddings. We put the cans and stuff on the trailer, so when they drove off.
Settling down as a married couple in rural Nebraska soon takes its toll.
She wanted to get out of Sydney, where they were living at. A small town, very small town.
Sydney itself, the town of Sydney, is approximately 6,000 people.
That's not where she wanted to live.
The newlywed solution? Vegas.
April and Brad decided to move to Vegas because of his job with Adams & Son, the trucking company.
And the Strip has charms beyond the promise of better trucking contracts.
They love to gamble, yeah. Every time Brad would go up to a slot machine, he would sit there and touch it, and then like this, and win. I was like, how can you be so lucky?
But for all the glitz and glam of Vegas, the move doesn't disguise the fact that Brad is working a lot.
He was just kind of an absentee husband. He spent the majority of his time on the road.
She would talk about missing him and wishes that he was home.
Hey, Tiger.
Hey, baby cakes. Bad news, won't be home tonight.
What? I thought you were in Reno and back today.
I'm sorry.
Well, not as sorry as me. Look, I gotta go.
He was gone, constantly gone. And so she was very lonely.
Loneliness is bad enough, but combined with the temptations of Vegas, it can lead to desperation.
I said, you better watch what you're doing, girlfriend.
After Brad and April Smith moved to Las Vegas for his work, April finds she's living her new life mostly solo.
I just made a casserole. Can you smell it?
Just about. God, I miss your cooking.
It'd be better if you were here to eat it. I feel like I'm married to a telephone at this point.
I'll make it up to you when I get back. We'll go out for a nice romantic dinner and then...
I will make us dinner. And then we can make babies.
Sure. Let's talk more about this when I get back.
Even with Brad away so often, April dreams of starting a family.
April loved Brad so much. They want to have babies and kids, so, you know, we just waited for that.
Kids were her life. She wanted nothing more than to be a mom.
But after years of trying, there's still no bassinet in the Smith home.
What is going on? Am I broken?
We have so many other options, all right? We can make this happen.
They went to some fertility places. Very pricey. Everything was very expensive. And not that they didn't have insurance, but it's still, you still paid a lot out of it. She had to do the hormones, and then she had to take these shots.
The challenges of hormone therapy go far beyond needles.
When April was taking hormones, I called her the psycho bee.
I'm sorry. It's not a decision I can make.
How am I supposed to get pregnant if you're not even here?
She would just fly off the coop and get mad at everybody. She'd take it out on Brad, too.
As the hormone therapy proves both emotionally draining and fruitless, the couple is forced to consider more dramatic methods.
They did try one in vitro, and I'll tell you what, it was very expensive and it was very painful, very traumatizing.
To make things worse, Brad seems tone deaf to April's anguish.
What is this? I don't understand. We don't need a car.
Oh, it's not for me. My daughter needs one, so I figured why not?
How
Good
much did
opportunity
this cost? Where did the money come from?
She said, used all the money that we had for the babies and everything and spent it on a car.
So what, you already have kids? So money for IVF treatments just doesn't matter to you? I'm the only one out of luck here,
But babe, it's not like that. Babe!
My view of Brad was just so high. Like, he was my little brother from another mother, And then all of a sudden, he turned into this, person I don't know.
Brad's decision is a controversial one. On one hand, Brad is certainly entitled to want to buy his children a car. On the other hand, if you're April and you haven't had your own natural child, you would be angry about it. And part of what this conflict says to me is that these two are not having conversations.
I imagine that April takes this as a pretty big dismissal of her on Brad's part. If Brad didn't mean this to be a pretty clear message to her that her priorities are not important to him, I think he's got some big repair work to do, because that's got to be how she's taken it.
Brad is soon back on the road, and April is left alone again. But she finds ways to keep herself busy, working as a receptionist in a rehab clinic.
The people that were there were alcoholics or drug abusers and things like that. And so she would try to talk to them. When I had a problem or anybody has a problem, they would go to April.
In some ways, The clinic is a lot like the truck stop back in Kansas.
Everybody would get a crush on her. Then she would sit there and bring him to the house and cook dinner.
In steps Barry, the brother of an outpatient at the clinic.
You know, you're the best looking woman in this place.
Oh, pretty sure I'm the only woman in this place.
Barry was a nice looking guy, really strong and buff and just, you know, and funny. Oh my God, he could jokes, just jokes, and just funny stuff.
It's a tempting opportunity.
I was worried. I told her, I said, you better watch what you're doing, girlfriend.
Meanwhile, Brad has no idea.
What the?
I can't explain. I didn't know this has never happened before.
I don't want to hear it. I get it. Can you leave us alone to talk?
Well, when he got divorced, because he caught his wife with another man.
I get that you're lonely. Maybe you shouldn't be lonely so much. Maybe he doesn't have to leave.
So, Brad is the one who invited Barry into the whole situation. Brad and Barry, they said they're her husbands. My husband number one, husband number two.
It's not exactly conventional, but it keeps April happy.
The whole point was so that you wouldn't be alone while Brad was working.
But unconventional solutions can have grave repercussions.
This obsession she had with Barry was just, it was insane.
In 2007, more than 10 years into their marriage, April and Brad Smith have hit a rough patch. When April takes a lover, Brad's surprising reaction to her infidelity is to invite the new man into the house.
Listen, guys, I'm hitting the road.
Where to?
Texas. See you soon.
Later.
It's tough to wrap my mind around why Brad would acquiesce to April bringing another person into their, not just their marriage, but into their home. I could speculate that maybe Brad thought is the only way to save the marriage, the only way to keep April is to allow her to do this. I could speculate that maybe at this point, Brad's kind of checked out of the marriage and he doesn't really care that much.
Whatever his reasons are, the reality is there's going to be a day of reckoning for Brad, where he stops and looks at the situation and thinks, this probably wasn't a good idea. And whatever feelings come after that day of reckoning are going to create problems for the couple.
And just when it seems things couldn't get more unusual for this trio, another unexpected opportunity comes along.
I think we should do it. It's a really good opportunity for you.
It's tough. I would love to be in charge of something, though.
We'll talk about this later. Think about it.
April and Brad wanted to go back to Sidney, Nebraska, because there was this truck stop that she wanted to run. She got offered the job to run the whole SIP. She'd finally get her restaurant. And so she asked me to come down there and help her do it because I was a cook.
But there's a problem.
So it would mean more money for me, and
So what does that mean for me?
I want you to come with.
Barry was supposed to come down and work in the trucking because he'd been a truck driver before, and he was going to get a job too. So then she'd have both her husbands, the one she really wanted to be with, the one that worked the hardest, the one, you know, and it would be one big old happy family. Barry wanted to come down, and he said he was going to and made all these promises. I'm getting a plane ticket, I'll be right there. And so she thought, oh, Barry's coming, and then we're going to have, you know, our family back. He didn't come that day. We go back home to Sydney.
April waits and waits, but Barry never comes.
I think what hurt her the most was that he never said that he was not coming. He always gave her false hope.
And April's resentment seems to always land on Brad.
Oh, can't I have any privacy?
Sorry, I didn't realize.
You never do.
But he's not her only frustration. So are her dreams of starting a family.
Her whole life would have changed had she had a child. Brad really wanted to have more kids. He knew that that would keep April from looking somewhere else.
A host of health problems destroys her hopes of having children forever.
April had endometriosis, she had kidney stones, this poor child had diabetes.
Then, the hardest blow yet, April is diagnosed with uterine cancer. There's only one solution.
Her having that hysterectomy was very hard on her. Because I think that's when the reality sat in that I will never be able to be a mom. I will never be able to have those kids.
All the steroids and all the stuff that she was taking and everything to have a child was needless. It was all needless.
With her dreams of a family in tatters, April's marriage is not far behind.
Look, we both messed things up, and now we have nothing. I think we have to face up to this.
Face up to what?
We gave it a good run, but I don't want to do this anymore. It's over. And I think you should move out.
She says, you know, Brad, we couldn't make our family. You screwed things up. I may have screwed things up, but now that it's done, I know we can't have a family together. I'm done. We can still be friends, you know, but other than that, I'm done. I don't want to be husband and wife anymore.
If you weren't here, everything'd be okay with me and April.
She's already told you to get out. And the reason why I'm here is because she needs me.
Brad went a little frou-frou. She's already got it set in her mind that it's done. But he took it out on me because it was the hatred and the hurt that he had about April leaving him.
April quickly moves on.
Well, morning, pretty. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good. You?
Oh, better now. I ain't seen you in ages.
An old acquaintance, Craig Johnson, comes back into her life.
She had told me about it. She goes, well, it's weird because I met him 2 years ago at a truck stop. And all of a sudden, he's back.
He drove also a truck, and he was coming up to get loads of pipe at the industrial park where she worked.
When Craig came around, she was just so happy.
Oh, Craig, this is my sister, Viola.
Well, the house special appears to be beautiful women.
And cheesy truckers too, apparently.
I stand corrected. One beautiful woman, one mouthy one.
But not everyone is impressed.
Some people give you the heebly-jeeblies, and I got that feeling from this person from the minute I seen him. The minute.
And there's another thing.
Craig looked like Barry, and it just reminded her so much of him, and she was so in love with Barry.
Their love moves at lightning speed.
I told April, I said, what do you see in this guy? And she was just, look at it. It was like a schoolgirl. I never seen her so giddy, so just, you know, oh my God, like she just found the love of her life again.
You know what, hon? I'm not feeling great, and I think you got this. I'm gonna go take a nap.
He brainwashed her so bad that I couldn't, you know, get through. It was like, knock, knock, anybody there? April, why would you want to be with somebody like this? I said, it's because Barry didn't come down here, isn't it? Well, don't he look like him? Don't he act like him? No. The guy was not funny. He was sarcastic. He was mean and rude.
Even with a new man in her life, April can't quit her old flame.
Brad still played a role in April's life.
They talked day and night. If she needed help with anything, all she had to do was ask him, and he was always right there to help her.
But yeah, she would always make sure, like, if he was in town and stuff, that he had food to eat, or she would, you know, put him a dish aside for him.
There. Take that, and that'll fix you up.
I miss you.
Oh, I'm with Craig now, hun.
You don't have to be.
I'm not sure. Being with him is not what I expected.
Well, maybe you can be with me again.
From my understanding, he was hoping they could get back together. He loved her so much.
As April and Brad grow closer,
They had plans to get back together.
Craig makes it clear that he's not willing to play along.
You didn't leave Craig Johnson. You don't disrespect me. You don't leave me. I leave you.
April Smith has been living with her new lover, Craig, for months, even while maintaining a close relationship with her ex, Brad. But life with Craig is not what April hoped for.
Hey, can you smell the turkey?
Was that what you're wearing tonight?
Well, right now I'm cooking. I was gonna change before everyone got here. Why?
I don't know. It's not doing you any favors.
What? I need favors?
He was getting her all messed up. You know, 1 minute, oh, you're gorgeous. The next minute, you need to lose weight. Don't you dye your hair? Don't you wear this? Don't you wear that?
I don't know why Brad wants you back.
Oh, this again. There's nothing going on. We're just friends.
Oh, please, you cook for all your friends? You don't cook for me much. Which is fine. It's your cooking's crab anyway.
Well, if my cooking is so crap, why is everyone coming here for dinner?
He's not a kind person. You know, you see her opposites attract. April was so nice, so sweet, and Craig was not.
My uncle was invited over, and Craig also said it was fine that he came over.
But all is far from fine.
Brad was having issues and problems because April and him were splitting up. It was kind of hard for him to see Craig right there.
Brad offered to fix April's brakes, and Craig did not like that idea because he was the man. He was supposed to be the one doing that.
Look, I could do it at work. It's no big deal. It's easy for me. I'll just do it.
Brad knew that Craig was not going to do it, just because it had been something that had been brought up numerous times before then. And then it was never getting done.
It's no longer your place, man.
It's not about that anymore. I like April. We're friends. We're family. We're all basically family here. Doesn't mean anything.
He's just so fast. It would be nothing for him to do it.
Sure. Hey, you want to make work for yourself? Go right ahead, man. Ain't no skin off my nose.
I don't think Craig knew how to work on the van. And I think in his mind, that belittled him in April's mind.
I find it interesting that while April appears to be very interested in a relationship with Craig, and that's her primary person, that she's still holding on to this relationship with Brad. It makes me think that she really is enjoying the attention from both of them, and that somehow whatever needs Craig is not meeting, Brad is meeting for her.
I don't know really at this point in April's mind how much she really understands the fact that these guys think they're jockeying for position as her #1 man. If she's aware of that and she's enjoying it, then I think she's playing with some serious fire.
Several weeks later, Brad makes good on his promise to fix April's van.
In comes Brad, takes the van, puts on brakes and rotors, and fixed the van, and then he dropped it off.
That night, Saturday, we'd gone out there for dinner, like we usually did on the weekends. I know Craig had already been drinking before we got there. This was a guy that usually talked a lot, and he wasn't really saying a whole lot that night.
Babe, you gotta make a move.
Really? Is that what you want me to do? I thought it was best to do nothing. Hey, Robert, how'd you feel about that? Being told to do nothing.
He did say something about if some other man came and fixed, you know, my wife's brakes, and I was just, shaking it off like, whatever, dude. He was asking me, how would you feel? And he just started crying. It was a pretty tense night.
Go to the sip to get more beer. Are you okay? What's going on?
It's done. We're done. What a mess.
Craig's behavior is not the only strange thing about the night.
I did see his bags by the door, and it kind of made me wonder exactly what was going on. I noticed it when we came in, because it was out of place, and she was very, everything has its place, everything needs to be in its place at all times.
It seems like there's no place for Craig.
She told us that he had a court hearing in Texas, and she was going to drive him to North Platte, buy his bus ticket, and get him back to Texas for his court hearing. She did say that while he was in Texas, that she might need help because her and Brad were going to pack that whole household up and move her.
Craig, everyone's going. You don't want to say goodbye?
Are you sure you don't want to come stay with us?
The look on her face when she told me she was gonna be okay and she was fine, you know, I could tell there was something wrong.
The next day, a worried Robert checks in, but April doesn't answer. After a few hours and many unanswered calls, the couple goes to investigate.
Van was gone. His truck was still there. The doors were locked. She never hardly ever locked her front door. I know all the windows, shades, and stuff were all closed, which was unusual. I was looking and I couldn't see anything at all. Besides the coffee table was moved. That was very unusual for her not to answer. If you did call her, she usually texted you right back or called you right back.
The next morning, the sheriff's office received a call from the convenience store where April failed to go to work. It was basically, we call it a check welfare. Some agencies call it a well-being check. It's just basically that somebody's worried about someone else. So we went out there, myself and another deputy. And I go up the door and we check both doors, and we found the same thing that we eventually learned that Robert found. You know, it was locked up. To us, it wasn't that out of the normal, because someone went somewhere, they locked their house. So we went and talked to the neighbors. They did hear what appeared to be a domestic disturbance the night before.
Investigators follow every lead.
When I was talking to Officer Witterberg, I let him know that she is a diabetic. I told him, you know, when you get in the house, check the fridge.
She said if the insulin was in the refrigerator, then something was drastically wrong, and she'd been taken against her will.
It's the sheriff's department. I'm investigating a missing person. April Smith.
I have two really small crowbars, and I put them in the door, and I had deputy pull on those while I used my foot to forcibly enter the residence.
As they enter, the deputies are hit with an unmistakable smell.
There's only one thing smells like human decomp and a deceased person, and that's that. It doesn't smell like an animal. It doesn't smell like burnt food. There's only one thing that smells like that. We cleared our way in there. She was lying on her floor. I went over to her and to check for vital signs, and I could tell that she was cool to the touch.
Before the body was removed, I went to the residence in Nebraska. The county attorney also serves as the county coroner. What I saw is what I would like to forget.
There was furniture pushed back. There was blood on the couch. It looked like a battle ensued that had gone from every room.
It was abhorrent. Saw ligature wounds. We saw defensive wounds on her hand as if she was trying to fight off an attack. There was a large gash in her abdominal region, and it was obvious that she had been in a fight for her life.
An autopsy determines that April died of suffocation and a deep stab wound to her abdomen. The how is now clear, but investigators are missing the who and the why.
He was his primary suspect.
Exit the vehicle now! Get out the car now!
When April Smith is found savagely murdered, two names top the suspect list: her ex, Brad Smith, and her current boyfriend, Craig Johnson.
We looked into Brad because obviously the ex could always be a potential suspect. I believe he was on the road, and trucks have GPS monitors in them. So unless he drove his truck somewhere and then teleported himself back and then teleported himself back to his truck, we eliminated Brad rather quickly.
And Brad confirms that April was leaving Craig. Investigators suspect Craig must have gotten wind of their plan, but police don't have his side of the story.
He's missing, and nobody could get a hold of him. He was his primary suspect. Once Craig Johnson become a suspect, then we gotta know everything about him. We gotta know more about Craig Johnson than Craig Johnson knows about Craig Johnson. we started backtracking to where did he come from. And once we found out, we started talking to local law enforcement down in Houston County, Texas.
What they learn is shocking.
We talked to a sergeant down there and says, well, I'm kind of looking at this gentleman for a homicide of my own.
Murder?
Craig Johnson was suspected of killing a young female down in Texas, and the body was never found.
As investigators in Nebraska probe Craig's past, a suspicious white van is spotted 1,000 miles away in Michigan.
The deputy, he effects a traffic stop on this vehicle. The white minivan pulled off the side of the road, and deputies walking up to the white minivan, and the white minivan took off. Deputy radios in that he's avoiding police, evading. And when that call comes out on the radio, everybody's in the fight. Everybody's in the search, everybody's going.
Turn off the car, do it now! Turn off the car and do it now! Exit the vehicle now! Get out the car now! Pull the door, pull the door. I'll keep running. Pull his ass out. Get down, get down.
He did get out of the vehicle after a high-speed chase. I guess there were stolen license plates on the van. And that's where they found, like, his bloody shoes and a bunch of bloody objects.
Whose van is that? Whose van is that?
So police put him in handcuffs, they take him back to a cruiser, and they put him in the back. Craig Johnson made this excited utterance of, I guess you guys know why I ran or that I'm wanted for a homicide in Nebraska.
Craig is transported back to Nebraska and charged with second-degree murder. DNA results confirm the blood on his sneakers is April's. The case goes to trial 2 years later.
Craig's story was that he'd come back, he had found her. He was just a black man in western Nebraska with a dead white woman.
He pled not guilty.
But investigators don't believe Craig's story.
What, you think I don't know the second you're out of here, you don't go running right to him? You think I'm stupid?
It's not like that!
It's exactly like that. Saw you flirt with that trucker yesterday.
What?
This wasn't like someone walked in and shot someone and they fell over dead. This was a prolonged physical altercation. She was beaten, strangled, then suffocated with a plastic bag, flicked with a knife, stabbed, and at some point, she had a blunt force trauma to the head.
Craig's murder of April has all the hallmarks of a rage killing, a murder in which the murderer wanted to inflict extreme suffering upon the victim in a very up-close and personal way. How would that happen? Well, in this case, with Craig and April, it seems to me the most likely that Craig found out about the fact that April was planning to go back to Brad and felt that what was just so offensive to him, he felt that she was deserving of that level of suffering and punishment for for violating his rights in this way.
It's almost as if the message is, you've hurt me, you've rejected me, you've harmed me, and I am going to make you pay. For a person to do something this brutal, this disturbing, there has to be an element of sociopathy, which says to me that Craig has always been like this. And so all of the charm and charisma that we saw early on in the relationship was just part of him luring her in so that eventually he could act on his narcissistic and sociopathic ways.
Craig Johnson is found guilty, and he's sentenced to life in prison. He has never admitted his guilt.
During the course of this investigation, I didn't see Craig Johnson show a lot of remorse or any remorse at all.
When looking at him, he has this eerie sense of calmness, not exhibiting being nervous or apprehensive. He just appears to be cold, without emotion. Looking into his eyes, it's as if they're black and nothingness.
April's family pays the price for his sins every single day.
I try to look back on pictures. I try to remember. It's not the same.
He took away everything from me about my sister, April, and I miss her smile, I miss her eyes, I miss her laughter.
She didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves it.